We'd like to welcome everyone. The Offices of Multicultural Affairs, my colleagues and I, are introducing this program, which is in response to the Asian circumstances in our society. And I'd like to begin by introducing our two of our participants. To begin with, I'm going to introduce Police Officer Thomas Joy. He is from the Asian American Pacific Islander Hate Events Chairman and Board Member of the Suffolk County Asian American Advisory Board. Police Officer Thomas Joy was born and raised in southern India in the state of Kerala. He migrated to the United States in New York in 1996 at the age of 17 and enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1997. Thomas entered the law enforcement career as a police officer in 2007 with the City of Mount Vernon Police Department and with the Suffolk County Police Department starting in 2010, where he currently serves. Thomas was a founding member of Suffolk County Police Asian Jade Society in 2014 and the American Malay Law Enforcement United in 2020 and became its first president. Thomas joined the Suffolk County Asian American Advisory Board in 2021 and currently holds the position of Asian American Pacific Islander Stop Asian Hate Events Chair. And I'm going to go right ahead and introduce Villongco because he will go directly after Thomas speaks. Villongco is chairman of the Suffolk County Asian American Advisory Board. Raymond joined the Asian American Advisory Board in 2006, and he is now serving his third term as chairman of the Asian American Advisory Board. Raymond works as an assistant director of admissions at New York Institute of Technology, College of Osteopathic Medicine in Old Westbury. He is an active community leader and held positions and served at the Stony Brook University Asian Programming Advisory Committee, former board member of the Girl Scouts of Suffolk County, Filipino Children's Fund, and serves on the board of directors of Wellbrook Foundation Incorporated. Welcome, both of you, and you're on.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. Thank you, Malika, for putting all this stuff together. And I'm with my Asian American Advisory Board Chairman, Ramon here. So just honored to be in this company, and thank you for having us. As you mentioned, I'm an Asian American. I'm an immigrant, and I have, that's a big part of me, and I wear that with pride. And I'm also an American, and there is no day that has gone by that I don't appreciate being a part of this nation and being able to serve this country and my community. So as you mentioned earlier, I was an architect of the Stop Asian Hate Rally in Suffolk County, and I was the MC for that. So I thank the chairman for allowing me that opportunity. And I'm a community guy. I don't know how I became this way, but I should have known when I became a police officer that I'm also a community guy. Did not really think of myself in such terms, but I am that guy now. So I wear many hats, and just honored to be here. So if you, is there any specific question that you would like to ask me, or you just want to give you an overview of what's happening in Suffolk County? Is that okay, Jim, or?
Yes, in fact, both are okay.
Okay. So as far as Suffolk County is concerned, Long Island, in a general sense, hate crimes, it's not a reportable, we are not working on any major cases at this point. So having said that, it could be one of two things. Either it's not happening, or it's either not reported, or it's underreported. So one of the things that we are doing over the last few weeks and months, because of the increase in Asian American hate crime incidents around the nation, we've been creating information and resources for our community members to show them what we are doing, what capabilities as law enforcement and as a community member and community leader that we have for our members in our community, and setting up things in higher levels of government that will be a resource to the community. Just as an example, our district attorney, Tim Sini, set up a hate crimes task force just recently at the district attorney level, which includes community members, prosecutors, and police officers. So it elevates the importance and priority that our county government places on incidents of hate or hate crimes itself. Even though we don't have any reportable stuff right now, but we are ready and we do have the resource to address it if necessary. We also, within the Suffolk County Police Department, which is one of the biggest, largest police departments in the country, we are also lucky to have a dedicated hate crimes unit, which is an anomaly in police departments around the country. Many of them, most of them do not have such thing. It's a general squad detectives that handles every kind of crime, including hate crimes. But in Suffolk County, we have dedicated members, a dedicated unit, dedicated staff and detectives that specializes, and that's their only thing that they do is focus on hate crimes and hate incidents, which is a great resource for us. So because we are subject matter experts dedicated to that field. And we had that unit for over 30 years at this point. And Detective James Mosby, you may have heard of him. He's a colleague, a good friend, and his experience and expertise in the field is unparalleled in this country. So we are lucky in our community to have such a person as a resource if needed. One of the golden standards that we have created over the last, I think it's a new thing. Hate crimes and hate incidents are not new things. It has been there since humanity, I guess, and it's definitely been there as part of America and American culture for as long as we can remember. So, but what we can do is, so let's say a community, a particular community, whatever the protected class of people that there is a hate crime or hate incident against, usually that community kind of rallies around itself and kind of, speaks for itself and tries to take care of its members and its community, in its own community. But the kind of golden standard that we have created, and thanks to leaders like Jim, is when something happens in any community, every other minority community kind of rallies together these days, and it's such a welcome, scene to have as a minority myself, to know that the Jewish board and the African American board and the all these different minority groups that we have will come to our aid and support and be of comfort by our side when something like that happens. And it's and I got to say thank you to Jim again for being one of those key leaders that has kind of made that golden standard these days. So even during an Asian hate crimes rally, Stop Asian Hate Crimes rally, Jim and other chairmen of other boards and other community members and community leaders came and assisted, offered assistance to do whatever they can, put out statements, made videos, and all these different things. And it's just so refreshing to see and to be part of that at this current moment. One of the other things that it is the idea of Ramon, our chairman, that we have flyers and pamphlets to give out to the community to give us resources. So that's one thing that he had an idea, then I kind of ran with it. And Detective James Bosby and his team helped us with it. So we created pamphlets in multiple languages, and pretty much it shows what hate crimes are, what's the difference between hate crimes and hate incidents, and what the applicable laws are, and all the resources that you can call, or either it's police resources or government resources or private institutions that you can call for help or assistance if you are indeed a victim of hate crime or a hate incident. So that's something that we're really proud of. We started doing. And I think we have forwarded that to pretty much all the minority boards in Suffolk County and in Nassau County as well. And they've been using, even in Nassau County, I think they've been using our model to pass out to the community. We have also set up several videos, information seminars to bring in subject matter experts from various fields, including the DA, Homeland Security Division, and of course, hate crime units and other minority boards as resources for our community members. Which will which can be used for any minority community or any community that's facing hate crimes or hate incidents, because it's all the same. There's no difference. Hate is hate. It doesn't matter whether it's happening to you or me. It's still hate. So it can be used by all our community members, and that's something that we are really proud of. All right, Jim. Yeah, that's a lot of talking.
So yeah, no, that was wonderful. Thank you so much, Tom. I think it's really, really, really significant that you were able to come and join us today. And I just wanted to say one thing about it, or ask you one question.
Yes,
there is because I know you're leaving soon, and I didn't want you to get away without sharing us some more love. All right. I have heard the rumor or the suggestion that our Asian American brethren are not likely to report when they are suffering with or experiencing hate incidents. Can you share with us what your perception is of that?
Absolutely. Me personally, I think there may be, and we live in a large, suburbs of a big metropolitan area. We have about 1.5 million people just in Suffolk, another 1.5 million in Nassau County. It may very well be the case that it is underreported or not reported, many of these incidents. So it is a very likely scenario. And as a police officer and as a professional, I cannot discount that. And especially in the Asian American community, most of us are, unlike the African American community, where you have generational ancestry here in the States. Asian Americans, for the most part, are either first or second generation people. So the attitude and the mindset of new immigrants are a little different than immigrants that have been here for a long period of time. So new immigrants usually put their head down. They think that they're probably coming from nothing, and they're trying to make a better life for themselves and the next generation, their families. So if everything else is secondary to what their primary goal is, to take care of themselves and their family. So it is very likely that even if an Asian American, a first generation, or any immigrant, who's a first generation or second generation, will probably just put up with it and just move on into their primary goal of their mission in life. So it's very possible that is happening, and especially in the Asian American culture, where you are more submissive, you are respectful of people and elders and authority. So it is very well possible that that is the case, and that's one thing that we are trying to combat, if that is indeed the scenario here. And that's why we're using our voices and our boards and other community leaders and community members to put the word out that this is America, this is opportunity for all, equality for all, and that's the idea that we're trying to promote. And even if you have an issue, say something, report it. And if you are witness to something, speak up and come to the aid of that person, or report it to the police yourself. So that's these are things that our DA, a county executive, and our police commissioner and our police chief have all expressed, and we would like that mentality to change. But you're talking about generations, a generational issue, a new immigrant issue. So it's a little more difficult than it's not an easy fix. So,
and that's why it's so important for us to be allies and connect with the Asian Americans, to support them through this ridiculous crisis that's going on, and blame stuff that's happening in our society. I really appreciate what you shared with us, and I know you do have to leave soon, so thank you so much for your input. And I don't know if anyone else wanted to ask a quick question or so, but I just wanted to get that in before you left, because I knew you have some special input to share with us on that topic.
And and on a personal note, even as I'm a first generation immigrant, I came here, and I would say exactly the same thing. There are things that happen in my life as well. I'm no different from my African American colleagues or my brothers and sisters. There are so many incidents that has happened in my life that was so questionable and so wrong in many ways. But I took it. I put my head down and moved on to the next task. But for me now, as a father, it's a, I don't want that to happen to my kid, so it's and maybe that's part of the reason that motivates me to do community work. And I'm a cop, I'm a community guy either way. But that kind of motivates me a little bit more, because you want your kids to have a better future, and you don't want them to suffer the same things that we have suffered, so but I thank you, and it's my pleasure, and thank you for having me, and I'll be available. And I'm sorry I had to run, but thank you, Malika, thank you, Jim, and my chairman, Ramon. Thank you for the opportunity to have me.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You are a model of what we would like to see happening in our police departments. Thank you so much, sir, for your community service.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for what you do.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, Ramon.
All right, so I want to show some slides and some videos. So if Malika can help me, that would be great.
Okay. And I am ready.
All right, sounds good. So if we can start on the first one. Okay. So again, thank you, Jim, and thank you, Malika, for inviting me today. This is really a very good program that you have at Suffolk Community College. This is really the main idea for us to collaborate together. That's why the Suffolk County Asian American Board, in solidarity with other advisory boards, we have come together sometime in March to denounce what's going on with the Asian American community. So as you can see on the next slide, we have partnered with different advisory boards. We have the Jewish board, African advisory board, the Hispanic board, Muslim board, the Native American advisory board, and all the communities here in Suffolk County. And we all came together, and we have a rally sometime in March where the county executive has spoken and said that we have a virus, and that virus is a virus of hate. And it is unfortunate that this is happening in our county, but the county executive has assured us that there is no place of hate here in Suffolk County. As Police Officer Joy mentioned today, I'm happy to report to you that there is no real cases here in Suffolk County, which is good news. But again, it doesn't mean we don't have cases. It doesn't mean it's not reported. So that's why it's good for us to have these kinds of discussions, for us to learn more about each other and talk about what's going on in our community. So our next slide are the list of panels that we did on April 30th. And we are fortunate to have a couple of senators, Senator John Liu, Senator Kevin Thomas, Assemblyman Phil Ramos, Hate Crimes Police John Mosby, and all these other peoples, including we also invited students from Stony Brook University to join us and participate in this forum. So in this forum, we were able to discuss a lot of things on what we can do and stop Asian hate. Our next slide talks about John Liu, who is one of our speakers. The next one is Kevin Thomas, who is also our speaker. The next slide is about Suffolk County Police Hate Crimes Unit Detective James Mosby, who has 35 years of experience with the Suffolk County Police Department. And again, he's the point person he's the point person to speak in case of we have any issues about hate. So this is a very good resource person, Jim. So in case we have any issues here in Suffolk County about hate in general, it doesn't have to be Asian, he will be a very good resource person. So the next slide is also very important, where we invited 2 police officers. So let me tell you what's going on with this. The reason why we invited the Homeland Security is because, yes, there were no incidents here physically about Asian hate, but there are some cases here in Suffolk County where a lot of business are being harassed or being robbed. And specifically, I'm talking about businesses on the 347 area by 347 and Stony Brook Road, all right, where there are a lot of Asian restaurants over there. And 6 or 7 of those Asian restaurants have been robbed. Now, was it purposely done? I don't know that. But the only thing I can tell you, one of my board members, who is a business owner, and she has a restaurant in Ronkonkoma. Her restaurant is in a commercial complex, and there are a lot of Italian restaurants, barbershops, and so forth and so on. And her restaurant is there, and at the same time, there's a Chinese restaurant. And believe it or not, their restaurant had been robbed multiple times. Now, was this targeted? We don't know. This was in the middle of the pandemic, or before even the pandemic. So they have a question mark in their minds right now. Are these people being targeted? So those are the things that we are trying to address with the advisory board on how we can help them and educate them. And like I've said, every little thing counts. So one of the things I will be discussing this afternoon, this morning, is how we can do to prevent this. What can you do to help prevent these issues? So the next slide is also another police officer on the Homeland Security Unit, where they are the ones who takes care of these investigations, if this was really targeted or not. All right, so our next slide is going to talk about, what's the next slide? Okay, I don't know if you can show a video of the county executive. Maybe Malika, if she can play it, because there's a link over there. Okay, probably not. Let me see.
We might be able to.
Okay, may be able. Okay.
It's saying it's an invalid link. I'm sorry.
Right, that's okay. Well, pretty much I can just summarize what, well, Jim was there in the actual rally. And pretty much the county executive have said that there is no place of hate in Suffolk County, and he will do his very best that these people who are found guilty will be punished to the full extent of the law. And he made that promise, and I guess that's why we're having discussions, and also I have discussions with the Suffolk County Police District, is what is the penalty if somebody get caught doing this, and again, it's a whole another topic of discussions. There is a process that they have to follow, but the county executive has really sent a really strong message that anybody who caught doing this will be really punished, and he's working closely with the DA's office, District Attorney Tom Cini, to make sure that this thing happens. All right, so our next slide, we will talk about, I was talking is, what can we do to fight violence, racism against Asian American? Well, the first thing we have to do is support the immediate need of AAPI group. It's very good that we're doing this right now, the multicultural presentation with Suffolk Community College. This is exactly what we need to do, is to have some kind of dialogue, to build our allies. Let's talk to each other, learn from each other, educate them. And this is very important because as Ellen and one of my colleagues here in the video, because Asians tend not to speak. It is that culture that we have, that we don't want trouble. I say Ellen is trying to agree with me, that we don't want trouble, so we just not say anything. But I guess sometimes that is wrong. So that's why we have to speak out. If you witness hate of crime or incident, we should report it. And according to the Suffolk County Police District, whether it's big or small, they have to report it. So try to get some information, like a license plate number, what color is the car, how tall is the guy, it's Caucasian or not, and so forth and so forth. All of this information are very important to the police district, although you may say nothing might not happen, but at least it's being reported. And that's the most important thing we have to do is let's report the hate incident. The next thing we need to do is consider training part of about hate. And this is why these forums are always good. You know, I work closely with, I'm sure Jim had worked also with different government agencies on what we can do to educate the people. But I think that is what's happening now in the Asian American community. And we're sending out the message that, you know, say something, speak, you know, report it, you know, whether it's big or small. And next one we should be doing is check with your Asian peers, okay? Another thing we should be knowing is, I think Ellen will be talking a little bit about learn the history of Asian American discrimination, okay? Something about our history. We have to learn how this all started, you know, why, you know, how the Chinese American came in this country in the late 1800s. I can't remember exactly, where they were part of building the railroad, transcontinental railroad between East and West. So maybe we should be learning about that, and maybe students at Suffolk Community College can also learn about the history of those. Next thing is advocate awareness in your workplace. Exactly what you're doing, Jim. You are educating this thing in the Asian American community in your workplace. So this is really good, and educating your students as well. So it's very important that we should share this information. And the most important part for me is reach out to your elected officials. Very important. We should be asking them, hey, you know, as a New York State Senator, as an Assemblyman, you know, what are you doing to stop Asian hate or any kind of hate? So again, there's a lot of things you can be doing to stop Asian hate. So let's go to the next slide. How you can help is encourage reporting incidents. Unfortunately, like I've said, incidents of hate or bias are not reported to the community or organizations. And that's a big problem. That's a big problem. We should be really saying something and report these incidents because like Officer Joy has mentioned, you know, a lot of them has not been reported. That's why we do not have any data. So every time we go to the Suffolk County Police District, can you please give us a data? There's nothing to report. They have no data to use. So again, these are the things you can do as a citizen. You say something and speak up. The next thing we should be also doing is hate must be exposed and denounced. An informed, unified community is the best defense against hate. Again, this is where the boards are now collaborating with each other. I'm working with the Hispanic board, with the African American board, and all other boards that we have really come together. And the best weapon for hate is building allies. By building the allies is what we need in order to stop hate. That's why I like to do these kinds of talk and educate the community, because as a citizen or as a student, you can do a lot of things and these kinds of things. The next thing we need to do is support the victims. So if you know any victim, okay, report the incident. Again, you know, you don't have to be in detail. You can be anonymous. The Suffolk County Police District can be helping you, but give them some data, give them some information, the height, the weight, you know, the plate number, the color of their car, if there's anything like that. So all these little things are simple things you can do to stop Asian hate. Our next slide right now is create and change the community. Again, very important is call your elected officials to speak out and take action. Ask them, you know, what are you doing? What are you, as a government official, what are the leaders are doing to act swiftly to make wake of hate crimes, okay, and solve these kinds of issues? Well, that's why we have to call Senator John Liu, Senator Kevin Thomas, who's the first Asian American elected official who's from India. So we try to collaborate with government officials and say, how can you support us? So these are things that we can do as a citizen to talk about these kinds of things. Another thing, I'm sure James have done this, build relationship with the local government agencies, working with the DA's office, with the Hate Crimes Unit, the Suffolk County Police Department, Human Rights Commission. These are all important resources for us to learn from each other and get kinds of resources to help our community. The next one is educate yourself. What do I mean by that? Determine hate if it's involved and know the difference between hate and bias incident. Yeah. So there's a big difference between hate and bias, okay? So by learning more about what's going on, we should educate ourselves to learn more, because you have to meet a certain category to be considered an Asian hate crime. And again, that is something, like I've said, is available that you can easily learn, but at least you try to educate yourself. And the next slide, we're going to talk about create change to your community. I think we discussed this already. Okay. Well, unfortunately, we were not able to play the video of Senator Kevin Thomas, but pretty much Senator Kevin Thomas was talking about, again, that their office is available to become a resource to talk and help them. And he gave some phone numbers. Unfortunately, I cannot remember it, but I will send it to you guys for additional information. And then the next slide is pretty much, I want to thank you, the advisory board. We want to thank you for inviting us. Of course, Jim is with the Suffolk County Asian American Advisory Board, the Suffolk Community College Multicultural Affairs, and the Center for Social Justice and Human Understanding, and the Anti-Bias Task Force, to thank all of you for inviting us once again to be here. And our last slide is, I just want to give you some phone numbers over there, if I can read it. It's oh gosh, let me just give me 1 second, because my eyes are not good. Okay, so the phone number to reach for non-emergency is 631-852-COPS and 1-800-220-TIPS. So those are the phone numbers you need to remember in case you have to report a crime. Just give me 1 second. And lastly is, I want to invite you that the Asian American Advisory Board is having our 12th annual Asian American Pacific Islander month, which is the month of May. And we want to invite the community by visiting our website at www.scaab.org. Again, Jim, thank you very much for having me, and we can now do the question and answer, if anything.
Well, may I make a quick comment, everyone? I think that your comment about the fact that people should report all incidents is very, very important, because even if they don't rise to the level of being
Correct.
a crime, they still keep a record in a file where, in case there are similar kinds of incidences, they can refer back to them. The Hate Crimes Unit is very adamant about continuing to do that. But the last thing I want to say, and then I'll turn it over to my colleagues, is that my colleagues, Malika Bachi and Christy Banks, were very, very instrumental in bringing this program to this particular project. And we believe as a unit very strongly in supporting all people of color and all people, as a matter of fact, who might be subject to any kind of discrimination. And I want to applaud them for the input and the value that they bring to this particular project. Christy Banks and Malika Bachi are my partners. Much love to them.
Oh,
Excellent.
I love the love. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Ramon, for going through that extensive presentation about what Suffolk County is doing. Many times it's not, if it's not seen on TV, people think, well, no one's working on this, but you are. And I thank you for your work.
Yes, so
And
again, and thanks for the support of other advisory boards, special Jim. I mean, he's been very active, and we will try to continue this discussions because, like I've said, I forgot to mention, what we're trying to do is three phases. Phase one is the rally. Phase two are the forums that we just held in April 30th. And phase three is really trying to hold information sessions like this and inviting government officials to be the link with you and your community. So it doesn't matter what minority group you belong, we can provide resources that we can have discussions. And again, I'm sure Jim has the same resources that the same thing as I do. But the part three phase is, listen, if I can talk to 20 people and learn, educate them, hey, that's 20 people. And if we keep continuing this, if I can get the Human Rights Commission, the District Attorney's Office, the Police Department, the Hate Crimes Unit, the Homeland Security, there's a lot of content experts out there that can really educate us and give us an eye-opener so that we will be able to educate ourselves and pass this on to the next generation. So that is the phase three project of what we're doing here at the advisory board. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your work and your commitment. So next we are going to hear from our next guest speaker, Ellen DumLao. She is an honors graduate of Boston's Berklee College of Music and studied voice and vocal performance at the Boston Conservatory of Music. She is the lead female vocalist of Rhapsody, which is voted Long Island's best wedding band by the Best of Long Island for its 5th consecutive year. You can look them up at rhapsodytheband.com. She is a vocal coach and instructor. She is currently serving on the board of directors at the CM Performing Arts Center, which is a nonprofit community theater located on the South Shore of Long Island. She is also a member of the Broadway Community Choir through the National Asian Artists Project, founded by Beok Lee. So without further ado, we'll hear from Ellen DumLao. Yay! She has, I always say she just has the voice of an angel. If you ever have any opportunity to hear her sing, you will be touched. But Ellen, you are here, and I thank you for taking this time. This can be a very sensitive issue for people to share on, but you said no, absolutely, you'd like to be a part of the solution. So I appreciate you for that. And I'd like to know, what has your experience been navigating this new world and this anti-Asian hate climate that we're in? Ellen is also, she lives in Washington Heights, and I also wanted to know, but you're out here a large part of the time for teaching, for your wedding band gigs, to participate with on the board of CM Theater, and your mom and your brother is out here. So you have the unique experience of having the opportunity to live in both the city and the suburb of New York. So how has your experience been? Have they differed based on where you are? Can you share a little bit about that, please?
Absolutely. And thank you, Malika and James Banks and Christy, for having me. I'm also a caregiver for my mom, who has Alzheimer's, and she lives in the house that I grew up in since 1973. So I've been part of the Long Island community since 1973. How I'm navigating this situation today, moving forward, I actually feel very encouraged. Thank you, Ramon, for your hard work, and Officer Thomas Joy, because I have not heard of the things that have been happening. And now I am readying myself to be more a part of the solution. So I'm ready to go. So I'm very encouraged. I've been very scared. I've been very nervous. I've been because of COVID, I've isolated myself for the protection of my mom and my family. But now that we're starting to get vaccinated and things are starting to, get rolling again and opening up, I'm not sure how I'm going to be received in my own place where I grew up. But I'm encouraged because of everything that is happening now. And in Washington Heights, I've always had some common sense because I'm a female, and I when I go to the city, I always drive. I park, and I make sure that I'm taking using safety, making sure that I'm aware of my surroundings, but now even more so. And it's causing me to be isolated a little more. I'm only sticking to people that I'm comfortable with, my friends, my family. But now the National Asian Artists Project, they're starting to give us resources and how, we can call upon people who are our braver allies. If we don't feel safe walking from one place to another, we can call somebody and they'll be your buddy to walk you from one place to the other, or ride with you in the subway. So there are those types of things that are happening, which is making me feel safer and braver and more encouraged to do whatever it is I need to do in Manhattan and the city. And so that's how I'm navigating things, one step at a time, one event at a time. And yeah.
Have you, and during this time, have you felt in danger of your safety, particularly because of the, for lack of a better term, the ignorant rhetoric that was surrounding the virus and linking it to the Asian community?
Yeah, I feel very, I'm sorry, my brain is like going everywhere right now because I'm thinking of all the experiences even before COVID, the underlying things even within myself, that yes, the Asian culture, we're submissive in a way, and we don't report, we don't make trouble. Everything is, don't make trouble, and just like what Officer Thomas had said, you stay the course and do what you need to do. But I'm always going back to hope and love and change. I'm working with my community theater to create safer places and safer spaces for everybody to just be who they are. So I have as far as experiences go, I have not experienced anything harsh, just the little microaggressions. Yes, but yes, just little things. I hate to mention them sometimes because I don't know, because I question, are they silly things like, are these people talking about Chinese food because I'm around? Little things like that. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way. Am I making a big deal about it? Am I being paranoid? But I'm realizing that that's a culture thing, and maybe knowledge is power for me. So I'm gonna try and just work through those things, and hopefully we'll get to a better place.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I also I, of course, cannot ignore this beautiful family that I see behind you.
This is
Can you, yes,
this is
I
the
have
meat
to
and
ask.
potatoes of everything.
That's the meat and potatoes.
That's the
All
meat.
right,
This
let's
is
get
the
to
meat and
main
potatoes
meal.
of everything. Like this is how I got here.
Yes,
This is my
yes.
family. This was from a newspaper clipping from a New York newspaper from December 5th, 1965. And it is, the article was entitled Uncle Sam Unlocks the Golden Door. And
Would you like me to show the screen? I mean,
sure,
would you
that
like me
would
to
be
share
lovely.
Okay. Okay, here we go.
Yes, so this is my family, yeah. This is in reference to the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, also known as the Hart and Keller Act, I believe. This photo has been in my life since forever, and it was framed and put up, and it wasn't till recently that I've discovered how important and significant this photo is. In the center is my grandmother. Yes, and she is a widow. It's very hard to tell to tell this story because and up in the that's my dad, Marshall Bautista DumLao. As my grandmother is Felicissima, happiness, DumLao. My mom, I'm right there. I'm in my mom's belly. I'm 6 months. She's 6 months along, right? Yes, the story of America, Americans and Asian Americans. My grandfather was a master carpenter working in a U.S. Navy base in Cavite. When the campaign of Pearl Harbor, the bombing of Pearl Harbor, they also bombed the island of the Philippines, some military bases there. And that was the day that my grandmother became a widow. That was the day that my father, at the age of 9, lost his father. And throughout the occupation of Japan and the liberation of with the help of America, America has been a beacon of hope for the Philippines. My father had an opportunity to serve in the U.S. Navy in 1957. And this Immigration Act has it lifted the quotas of letting immigrants in because they were selecting how many immigrants can come from different countries and limiting others. And it's very political and very racial. And lifting this to some opinions, they said that this was a big mistake, but lifting this quota allowed a lot of people, immigrants, to come and make a better life for themselves. And my father served in the U.S. Navy in Korea and Vietnam. He gave birth to my 2 older siblings who became U.S. Retired Navy commanders. They went to the Annapolis Naval Academy. My 2 aunts came as nurses, professional nurses, because there was a shortage of nurses in America. So they came, and then my cousin Grace, the little one over there, she was the musician. She taught me everything about music. And of course, America, that beacon of hope, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As I was growing up, my father asked me, what do you want to do? And I said, oh, Daddy, I want to sing, because singing makes me happy. And of course, there's a stereotype about Asians becoming involved in the medical field or in law or being an engineer. I just wanted to sing, and he made that possible for me to pursue my happiness. And so from my grandmother to my father to my mother, who was a school teacher, my brothers who served in the military, my aunts who served as healers, as nurses, and my cousin Grace with the love of music. Like, we're a whole community, and that is America to me. That is pursuing the American dream, and it is for everybody, everybody. So.
That's powerful. Thank you for sharing that, Ellen. And as you're sharing the heritage that you've had in this country, that your family's had for years, for decades, I'm assuming that it's particularly hurtful to hear when people look at our Asian brothers and sisters and say things like, go back to your country. This is your country, right? Can you share your feelings on that?
That's the hardest thing to hear, is for people to say that to another person, and even other immigrants saying that to other immigrants does not make sense to me. So I just hope that we can get over that, or we can understand that, maybe empathy. Is there a way to have people realize that, that what you're saying to your fellow man and person is not, doesn't make sense, not in the big picture of what America is supposed to be. So it hurts to feel that way. And yes, I need the tools. If I do hear that happening, I need the tools to speak up. But part of also, and having the courage to speak up. I'm ready to do it. I feel like this is the time for us to do it. We were made for these times. I always tell myself, remind myself, we were made for this time. So with all our experiences lived and shared, we were made for this.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ellen.
May I just interject again? Ellen, it is really very pleasing to my palate to hear your positivity. America doesn't have a good reputation in terms of how they treat people of color. You spoke about the when they bombed Pearl Harbor and the internment camps that resulted as a result of that. Those kinds of things are similar to the other kinds of discriminations that go on in our country. So like they are blaming the Asian flu on the Asians, they blamed Pearl Harbor on the Asians in terms of all of them that were here. And it's just wonderful that after all of that you could get past your post-traumatic internment syndrome and move to a place of positivity, and with that wonderful smile you have, and talk about the benefits of being here in America, because it also has that other side. It has that shadow side, but it also has that other side. And thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you, James. I was in that shadow side for a long time, and COVID, everything that has happened in the last 4 years, the last 20 years, the last how many years, build up. And I'm only understanding like generational trauma and those terms, decolonization, like that was so, I've assimilated so much to the American culture. I've lost the language of my parents. They spoke Tagalog, and they spoke their dialect, my dad was a Ilocano, my mom is from Batul. They're both from Batul and Zambales. And Ramon, I'm going to like email you and get in touch with you because I need to discover those things again in order for me to move forward to
Absolutely.
whatever this new vision is for our country.
Mhm. Well,
So-
that's why if I say something, I was speaking to Senator John Liu, and one of the things he really discussed when this Asian hate is going on is words matter. This all started with one simple word that the Chinese started this virus, and that's where everything just fell apart.
Mhm.
That's why, as a leader, in our community, you have to be careful of what you say because you have a lot of followers. You are being looked upon to. That's why words matter, and that's a very important thing that we have to look into because people don't realize that you have followers.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you both of you. Thank you so
Right.
much for sharing a no doubt painful side of your history, Ellen. I know it wasn't easy to do, and I'm grateful for you because there could be a lot of healing that can go on, a lot of empathizing, and when you share your experiences, and when maybe that someone will think twice about looking at someone because of their features and think, well, they've just arrived in this country, when in fact your family has been here for years. Your family's been serving the country, putting their lives on the line, being healers for the community for years. And yet you've endured this hate and this discrimination and with such grace. So thank you again for sharing. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share. And everybody has incredible stories to share. So I hope as an artist that we can all, tell our stories, have opportunities. So thank you. Thank you, Malika.
And I want to get a chance to hear that lovely angelic voice she spoke of.
Oh, okay.
Me too. I was like, maybe she'll sing something for us. I don't know.
Oh, I wish I could set up my stuff and I was at my piano. Maybe I could have, but maybe next time.
Okay, we're gonna hold you to that, Ellen, because
Okay.
even a cappella, she's fantastic a cappella.
Hey, Ellen, so
um,
reach out to me because we're celebrating Asian Pacific Heritage Month and we can invite you to be one of our performers. We have a cultural
Oh.
presentation.
Well, that would be lovely.
Yeah.
Yes.
that's lovely. Thank you. And so we're going to, I'm going to turn this over to my beautiful colleague, Christy Banks now, who will introduce our last speaker. Christy.
Thank you. Ellen, thank you. Mr. Ramon, thank you. All right, Ahmi Whoo. I had the pleasure of meeting Ahmi virtually, of course. Hopefully one day we'll meet face to face, but during a program that we had this semester. So Ahmi is a student with us here at Suffolk County Community College. She's a liberal arts major from Kings Park. She's played an instrumental role in the Grant Campus Mosaic Lounge that we hosted this semester with many students. And Ahmi took the time to be present with us. And this lounge is a place for students to share their voice and speak on diversity topics. And she was with us every week, not every night, but every week on a Tuesday evening. And it's a pleasure, and I'm so thankful that you could be with us. So thank you for joining us. And the first question that I have for you, Ahmi, what has been your personal experience navigating this world in terms of this anti-Asian hate that's happening in this culture right now, especially during COVID? So if you could share something a little bit with us.
After the COVID, it was a little hard for me to cope because everywhere I go, I'm the only Asian in this town. So I felt guilty about it. Like, I don't know why. I felt like I caused this virus or something, or Like, I feel really bad about it. And then as time progressed, and we all know it's not one individual problem, it's about like word problem. So it gotten better, but after that shooting incident in a spa place, since my mom owns the nail salon as a spa place, so I was so shocked and sad. At the same time, I have to protect my family because they don't speak English. So I have to translate for them and I have to be there for them 24/7. And it was like, emotionally like hard to deal with. Yeah. So even though I want to go protest, like let them hear my voice and stuff, but the the prior thing is to put the food in our table and survive every day. So it was hard for me, even though I want to like tell them we're not the virus, we're not causing any of this. But at the same time, we have to protect our family first.
Right. I understand.
Yes.
Yeah, we're sorry.
Yeah.
Like
It's
no
okay.
one
It's
is
no one's fault. It just happened.
yeah,
Yes.
no one's supposed to feel that way
Yes.
or be outcasted.
Mhm.
And as you know, Ramon had said, words do matter, and it trickles to so many people,
Mhm.
and it causes people to do things, and it's not right. So
Because I was always majority in Korea. I was a minority. As soon as I came to the United States, I became a minority. But I don't know the term of minority because I never experienced it. But more that I live in the United States, I feel like more foreigner instead of like being part of community. I always outcast. Like it was hard for me to deal with it. But now I learn English, I know the culture, so I could be part of it. So it's getting better and better. Yes. So it's
well, it's good. You, as I mentioned, you were part of the project that we worked on this semester, and
mhm,
you shared things with the
yes.
students that,
Mhm,
and even the staff and faculty that we didn't know. So
yes.
using your voice and sharing information
Mhm,
has been helpful to so
yes.
many. So we thank you for that.
Thank you.
Do you find it easier to share and to speak out against injustices?
Yes, because in our culture, we don't talk about our emotion or we just suck it up, deal with it, and just live along the like that's the part of the life that I was grew up. But when I came to United States, if you have something problem, you have to speak up. You have to tell them, and you have to fix it. And I try to mix it together, so I feel like I feel more freedom, like so I could show my heart out, like to other people. Yeah, that's a good part.
Um, so in your opinion, it's the last question. How do you think we could make it better? Like what could we as a people do?
As we need to love each other, respect each other, and learn the culture. There's a lot of culture difference. Since we are living in a melting pot like community, we have to teach or learn from them. Like we have to balance each other. Like, I think that's the most important thing.
Great. Thank you so much
Thank you for having me.
As
for
some
sharing
of us,
your voice with us.
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted
Go
to
ahead.
comment and say, yeah, some of us were left out of that melting pot as
Yes.
time passed on.
Mhm.
I really think that it's really exciting that your generation
Yes.
and and even the millennials have
Yes.
really invested in coming together and
Mhm.
forming support and allies,
Yes.
much different than my generation and the generations that preceded you. So
Yes.
it's exciting that you're learning the language. And
Mhm.
when I heard your story about, the priority about putting the food on the table, I
Mhm.
remember living that as a child with my
Yes.
own family. So
Mhm.
I get it. I really
Yes.
get it. We're all in this love together and we need to support each other through
Yes.
all these struggles. And if one of us is struggling, that means all of us are struggling. So if there's anything that I can ever do to
Mhm.
extend love to you and to help
Uh,
you through your processing, just call my name and I'll be there.
Thank you, sir. So nice of you.
Amen.
And I offer the same thing, Amy. If you need to reach out to the advisory board, that's why we're here.
Yes.
We represent all the Asian Americans here
Mhm.
in Suffolk County. And it's so sad when you said earlier today that
Yes.
you were scared, thinking that this virus was caused by Asians. But people are forgetting, when COVID-19 hit, well, guess what? Who are the people on the bedside? Asians, the nurses, the physical therapists, the respiratory therapists. These are the people who are helping you during COVID-19.
Sir.
And people are forgetting that
Mhm.
we are not the problem, we are the solution. And
Yes.
people blame us for these kinds of things. So it's really sad to see a student like you who's
Mhm.
afraid to go out. You wanted to do the right thing, but you don't have any support. And that's why these discussions are very important. That's why I continue these forums and discussions and lectures and education and building allies so that we can all work together and help each other.
Yes.
So again, these discussions are very imperative to continue. So that's why I salute you, Jim, Makila, and Christy for doing these conversations, because these are the type of communication that we need to educate people. Hey, if you reach to 10 people, that's 10 people you just educated.
Mhm.
Mm,
And that's why, again, thank you for inviting us.
yes. And
Absolutely. Ellen,
and
you want to share something?
yeah, Ami, I just want to send love to you, and I too want to support you in any way I can.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're sisters. So we're sisters, we're brothers, we are one family. I mean,
Yes.
so I'm here for you, and I
I love to
understand.
I love to hear your singing and learn from you. I love to
Okay.
sing.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
I'll give you my email.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
You have a new friend.
Yeah.
We
This,
all have new friends.
Yes, we
yes,
do.
Wonderful.
We do.
yes, this is beautiful. I thank you all for sharing. Ami, the amount of courage you must have to tap into every day to put food on your table, the table, and to stand up in front of your family, not understanding what's going on, and you understanding
Mhm.
a little bit more because of your grasp of the language, and
Mhm.
continuously to chip away at your college education while you're holding everything else down. You are to be commended, and it's stories like of perseverance like yours that keep us going. Like, okay, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of support that we have to give to our brothers and sisters out there. At this point of the end of the program, would any of you like to share any parting words of what you would like, uh, just any last words, any last thoughts, anything that you wish someone would know about you or the community or what have you?
Sure, I can start. Again, thank you for having us. And I want to encourage the students who are listening. Um, as far as Asian hate is concerned, you speak up, you report the incident, support the victims, and call your elected officials. If you see any kind of anything like this, I want you to call 631-852-COPS for non-emergency, or 1-800-220-TIPS. So these are phone numbers that can really help you. And as an educator myself, Amy, the reason why we're here, we're all here in the university and school to reach out if you need help. And this is
Yes.
one of the things we need to do, is try to collaborate, call somebody, speak to somebody. Don't take it upon yourself. Reach out and speak to people. And that's the best medicine we can do. So again, that is something I want to share with everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll share something. I want to, I'm very encouraged, and I know we're going to do more of these, and this is a beautiful, wonderful step in the right direction. And I'm very encouraged, and I'm ready for the next phase of this. Let's do this. We can do this.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other words? Thank you, Ellen. Thank you. Thank you for being here and sharing. Yeah, it's a very tender part of your heart. So thank you. Ahmi, do you have any parting words for us?
Oh, this meeting was really wonderful. It gives me like healing power about this situation, and I feel love like in every situation that we're in. So thank you for having me here.
You
That is
know,
awesome.
that was very, very awesome. And I'm moved by your intimate sharing, and I hope to hope that will help me to remember that we are all in this love together. As the poet Dylan said, we will not go gently into that good night. We will rage against the dying of the light, and you are the light. Thank you.
It was so wonderful. It's touching. Oh,
Yeah, he's a touching poet.
Well, that concludes our program today. We look forward to doing more of this kind of work, maybe live the next time, maybe in person the next time, who knows? But this is a part of the good work, you know, that we have to do. My father's always asked me, in life, there's an equation. You're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. So I thank you all for being part of the solution. Thank you.